Hello, I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Our focus this week is the Webb City School District, and schools are more than halfway through the current school year, so we thought we'd visit today with the Superintendent, Dr. Rossetti. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Judy.
Your feelings as you are beyond the halfway point of the school year, heading down the stretch, I guess.
Well, I can't imagine how fast the school year goes by. You know, I don't like wishing my life away, but if you had asked me that we'd be turning the corner on the end of February already, it just seems like yesterday we opened up school in August. So the time flies rather fast, but we're happy where we're at, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Right.
And of course, we're recording this program after you've had your first snow days of the year, and everybody thinks of the superintendent when it comes to snow days.
Well, like I said, I've been up since about 3 o'clock this morning, and we actually go out and drive the roads to try and make sure that everything's safe for the kids. And you know, in our district, there's about 57 square miles, and we try and cover most parts of it. But you know, it's always a challenge because you can have weather at one side of the district that it doesn't happen on the other side of the district, and so trying to determine what's safe for all can be somewhat complex at times. And there's no specific formula. You just have to try and know what buses kind of go through, and whether kids can manage to get into the high school, how safe our parking lots are, those types of things.
So really, it's a big decision, obviously, and it sounds like it's a teamwork effort that you're driving, you have other people supporting you and checking things out.
Oh, absolutely. We have a team that goes out and we're reporting back. We're contacting other school districts to find out what kind of weather they've had. So there's a lot that goes on before 5 a.m. And you know, we have to have that call made by a certain time because I have, you know, our kitchens start opening at 5 a.m. and we'll have ROTC kids come in at 5:30. So for us to make a call, we try and do that before 5 a.m. And that's another challenge, is that sometimes the weather won't come in until after a certain period of time, and we're trying to make a judgment of, well, how much snow are we really going to get? And I don't have that crystal ball to be able to tell me exactly what we'll get.
Of course, students love snow days. You hear about the kids, yay, no school today, but you build in your calendar those days. So we missed 2 days this week. Some point yet in this semester, those 2 days are going to be made up.
Yeah, typically we've got 2 days built into our schedule. And what I tell everybody is that there is no such thing as a free snow day. It just doesn't happen because we're going to make up the first 6 no matter what. So you're trading a day now for a day later on some other place, whether it's President's Day or Good Friday, or we have to tack it on to the end of the year. So, you know, that day in May when you could be out playing in the sunshine, you're going to be going to school. So people that get really excited about the snow days, then you know there's always that trade-off.
Something at the end of the year to look forward to.
But you're right, the kids love it, especially if you're a senior. The parents, I think, love the first one and then are not as crazy about the ones after that.
At least with a knock on some wood, this year isn't like in years past where you've had some weeks at a time where you've had to shut things down.
Absolutely. This has been a good year, and like you said, I don't want to jinx it, but even though we've got some bad weather that's supposed to come in on Sunday,
right.
You know, the sleep deprivation eventually catches up to you.
Okay. Well, I know last time we visited, about a couple of years ago, you were talking about a bond issue, capital improvement plans for the school district. So now we've kind of come to the other end of that. The voters approve that, and you have facilities now.
Absolutely. It's been a long journey. You know, this started about 4.5 years ago, and with nothing more than us having a discussion about what safe rooms we could apply for a grant. And literally, they weren't anything more than dots and circles on a map. And when somebody asks you or talks to you about a storm shelter, I think people immediately conjure up the image of some concrete bunker.
Just a big blocky building.
Something that you go and run into to be safe. And these have turned out to be anything far and above anything that we had ever imagined. We had 2 different architects work with us, Paragon Architecture and Insight Designs. Both were great to work with. Crossland Construction, R.E. Smith also helped, were the general contractors. And we have completed all but one. And we're just getting ready to, well, we've actually done some work at Carterville.
Right.
And interestingly enough, that soil at Carterville has been a little bit more of a challenge than our other locations. They've had to actually go down and put piers in below the foundation. And So, but it's progressing, and hopefully by the end of this summer, start of school, next school year, we'll have every one of our attendance centers will have some type of safe room for our kids to be in during those times of need.
Of course, in addition to being the safe shelter type room, they're serving multi-purpose facilities. You have one that's serving as a nice new gymnasium, auditorium area. That you have a library. They're multi-purpose type facilities.
Yes, all of them but two are, because those two weren't in the grant. But yes, they have dual purpose, dual roles. Many of our elementaries did not have. They had PE areas, but they weren't really a gym. They were more like two classrooms that didn't have a wall that separated them. So we had some low ceilings and things like that, but these have turned out wonderfully. What the magic is that's really been a blessing for us is the fact that we've been able to add multi-purpose rooms, which in effect are gyms. Right. But what it's done is it's freed up that space within the building.
So what the classroom before now is free for classroom use again.
Absolutely. That's definitely an advantage that we've had. You know, all of the different buildings, when you go in them, you don't really recognize them as a safe room. I mean, you would from the outside, but when you get in there and see their functionality, they're excellent. They're great classroom space, educational environments. Two of them are going to be gyms with wood floors. Two of them are multi-purpose gym rooms, PE rooms. One is at the junior high is a multi-level library, and it's turned out fabulous. And then, of course, we've got the Cardinal Dome, which we recently just opened here last month in January. And, I mean, that is Missouri's largest safe room. There isn't a safe room in the state that's larger than it. It's 180 feet across. It has 2 levels. It's got a mezzanine level. It's just an excellent facility. It's about 1,800 seats for an event. The connection piece that is now the Commons cafeteria area is a new place for our kids to be able to have lunch. They were rather cramped in the space that we had before. Now they've got, it's almost practically double the space that we had. The current high school is about 270,000 square feet. This part that we've added on is an additional 60,000 square feet. So
really gave a lot more to the high school for you to work with.
Yeah, we actually had to take a look to see how long it will take one person to get from one end of the building to the other, and our passing times are still pretty good.
Well, I know the Dome was, as you say, opened recently, and we have some students who actually visited, and I have a little package that our students, and a story that our students put together, and I'd like to let our viewers take a look at that, kind of an eyeball, see the Dome, and talk to some people who are utilizing it. So if we'll pause right here and let our viewers take a look at the story.
Webb City High School has always maintained a rich tradition in its academics and athletics. The tradition continues as Webb City dominates in the sports world and in the classroom. The high school, powered by Principal Tim David, has not stopped bettering themselves with their latest installment, a new Dome basketball arena that doubles as a safe room. The safe room features the Dome itself, a new weight room, and a new state-of-the-art locker room.
So, Mr. David, what state of mind does the safe room provide for the school and for the public?
Well, that's probably the best thing about it is now we can keep our kids safe in traumatic storms. Before it was such a scary situation just to have people take cover in the hallways.
What's the coolest part about the new dome?
Well, obviously the safe room is probably the most important part for us and our students in our community. But it being multifaceted to host events and activities in here, it added a lot of square foot to our school, which we were in need of as well. Well, once again, I would have to say that it's a safety. To keep the kids safe is by far our most important thing. But just the new upgrades, and it's got such a great sound system. The technology in here is awesome. The video boards and stuff. The students were really ready for a new facility. The gym we've been using prior to this was built, I think, in the early 70s. So we were due for it, and we're very appreciative of it. I think the video board would be the thing that people are most impressed with. Our students really like that. During the game, we get the little dance cams like you see at the games, and they can put the graphics up like swish or three-pointer, get loud, and it has a positive impact on our students and crowd.
So now we have Desiree, who's a senior basketball player here at Webb City, who plans on playing at Southern. So Desiree, how is it playing in this new facility?
It's loud. It gets really intense in here because you have all the crowd. I think it gives us a little bit of advantage because most teams don't really have our goals that we have in here, they're more hanging down from the ceiling, and then we have our student section that sits behind the goal, and most teams don't have that. It's always on the sideline, and so yeah, that gives us kind of an advantage.
If you hope to catch a basketball game in the new dome, you may have missed your chance. The Cardinal boys basketball team played their last home game on Tuesday, February 17th, despite the snow. The Cardinal boys bested the Carthage Tigers 44-39. Reporting in Webb City, this is Eron Hawley, KGCS TV, Channel 22.
We had a chance to look inside there and see the facility. Really, a lot of features there for not only the athletes but the students in general to use.
Oh, absolutely. There's just there are so many different. I mean, the number of locker rooms that they have, permanent locker rooms, the weight room. I mean, it's just really because we're able to move a lot of those things out of the current high school. Again, it's freed up more space in our high school to be able to do some things, to add classrooms that we didn't have space for before. So it's just really been advantageous for us to be able to do that. You know, the whole dome structure was a little bit difficult for me to wrap my mind around until we went and visited another one that's similar. It's smaller, but once we saw how that worked, we knew that the way the land was kind of laid out around the high school, that it would be a perfect fit for right inside that area, as well as the fact that for us to be able to get that type of clear span without having posts to support the roof is the reason that we went with the dome. It wasn't just because we wanted to make it so that you could have basketball in there, but as an addition, the cost to do something with prefab walls and a roof, you couldn't do it. It was actually more economical to do the dome than it was to do some type of prefabricated structure that would suffice what we needed it to do.
And people might have questions, you know, they see such a big structure, how can that be safe throughout a storm? But it is indeed, I guess, the weight and the size of the structure itself. You say it's prefab walls, there's nothing to give way.
Very much so. Plus, each of the cinder blocks, they have every 8 inches they have rebar that goes down, and every 12 inches they have rebar that goes across. And inside of the cinder block it's grouted, so it's a total solid structure, 18 inches thick of wall, with insulation, rebar, and then equivalent to shotcrete. So that is a very safe place. I mean, to reach winds of 250 miles an hour and to stop anything that would be flying through the air, this structure can do it. It was really amazing how they actually did the dome part, because they inflated the membrane of the roof with a fan, and then they came back and started spraying concrete around the edges with rebar and worked their way up in a spiral formation till it got to the top.
So it's hardened as it went up.
Hardened as it went up with more rebar, more insulation. The dome has an R factor of 50 for insulation, and I mean, it's like I said, 18 inches thick at the stem wall and 8 inches thick at the very top. Wow. 60 foot from the floor to the ceiling, and just very efficient, very efficient.
So it serves its purpose as a storm shelter facility, and is also energy saving, for that sounds like, for the district down the road.
Absolutely. There's cost savings, I think, that you'll see because it is so efficient. And you know, when you conjure up images of what kids have to go through, what we were having them go through in a tornado drill situation, you turn the lights off to mimic loss of power, get down in a hallway or an interior classroom, cover your head, that sort of thing. When we go into this facility, 1,200 kids, they can sit in the bleachers,
because that wall is protecting them from whatever's happening outside. So you've had opportunity for those drills, those storm drills and tornado drills.
Yes. The middle school is a band room, and 650 students we can have go in that room in less than 3 minutes. So all of our facilities are that way. The access is just wonderful because they're connected. We do have one building that share a safe room, Harry S. Truman and Bess Truman on the north side. That is a community safe room as well. the students do have to go outside, but we are creating some canopies that would
protect them from any rain or anything that might be coming down.
So, are they? There's some serious. I mean, there's some nuances that we wish we could have figured out some way, but there's traffic patterns and things like that. You just can't attach everything like you would want it to. So we think the designs that we had are the most economical and feasible, and we're excited about the completion, which, like I said, should be this summer.
Great. Now, you mentioned the community aspect. So the safe rooms are for, obviously, the schools, but they will be there in the event there's a storm and people who live within the school district need a place for shelter.
Yes. The plan is to, like I mentioned earlier, is to have a drill, so that a community-wide drill, so that people will understand where to go, what are the procedures, how do they enter, how do they exit, things they can do, things they shouldn't do, just so everybody's on the same page. And at the Dome, Cardinal Dome, can probably hold anywhere. I mean, if you filled all the locker rooms, 4,000, 4,500 people, if not more. I don't know that we would be able to get that many people in there.
They might park to be able to get to the school.
Yes, I think you'd have to park on Stadium and run in there. And the other, Madge T. James is the same way. They have the opportunity to go to that building as well. So not only are these going to keep our kids safe, but also anybody in the community that has a need to find or seek shelter. Really, Webb didn't have a whole lot to offer. The library is about the safest place that they could go. Now, and same thing with Oronogo and Carterville, they all have a safe place to go in the event of something like that happening.
So people can stay tuned or keep up with the school district and find out about those policies, those procedures when you have those drills and things.
Yes, we have to go through a closeout session with FEMA, and they outline what those policies are, and when we are made aware, we will inform the public of how they can access those facilities. Great.
Well, in the story that we saw in the background, we saw the words Mercy, and that brings to mind that you have a new clinic now tied to Mercy at the high school.
Oh, yeah, we're looking at trying to figure out how to provide not only our students but our staff with accessible healthcare options. We're not in the healthcare business, but we also realize that kids tend to learn better if they have a teacher that's healthy teaching them, and they're feeling well themselves. So this is nothing more than an option for our students and staff to take advantage of. There's no requirement. We still have all the school nurses that we normally have had. As a matter of fact, they have to go through, it's not an open clinic.
So you see the school nurse before you go to the clinic?
Correct. You have to have access to get to the clinic, which is through the school nurse. And we'll even provide transportation at one of the outlying schools that if the parent wants to take advantage of that opportunity, they can. Now, it's not a free clinic, but depending on what your insurance is, you can work with Mercy to try and figure out how that would play out for you as an individual. But what we found already is the staff has already taken advantage of it, and we're encouraging it, obviously. I know of at least 15 different examples of our teachers accessing the clinic during their plan time and not having to take a half day or a full day to wait at a clinic someplace else and the drive time. So it's already having a positive impact of keeping our staff in the classroom and not having to acquire substitute teachers for them and making sure they're healthy.
So really tying into the overall wellness concerns of the district and your faculty and staff. And
as
employees.
A benefit to our teachers and to our students, I think this is another opportunity of a wraparound service. Again, we do not run it. It is clearly done by Mercy, but we provide access at a location that's convenient, and many of our teachers are taking advantage of it.
Right. We mentioned the academic side, and I'd like to talk a little bit today about what's happening on the academic side. I think last time we talked, we were talking about more computers in the classroom, technology, and so forth. You're continuing to develop those programs.
I would say that we're going some places that we hadn't anticipated. When you give the teachers tools and give them the opportunities of creativity and innovation, you almost have to hang on for the ride.
They're going to jump right at it and go.
We have some, there's no doubt, we have some high flyers and doing some things that I didn't imagine that we would be doing. But it's really exciting, and when you have teachers that are exciting, the kids are excited as well. And the things that we hear from our students and our staff are they're just amazing. I mean, things that we've had to change some curriculum. We've had to advance some curriculum in some of our business classes because the kids already know how to access and do a lot of those things that they were having to be taught how to open this document or save this document.
They come in ready, prepared to use it.
Exactly. They're further ahead. And so we are actually planning to do another refresh of the Chromebooks at the high school, 9 through 12, with a different model, but it's still the same operating system. We use Google as our platform, our learning management software. And so the students already have access, familiarity. So they won't realize anything other than they've got a new device.
A new device to work with, the same learning process. So having that in their hands has really made a difference then for those high school students.
I believe so. I think if you ask them about, I remember before we started this journey, see a student out in the hallway with a piece of paper kind of writing on their leg, trying to finish an assignment. I'm not sure how much that was preparing them for those jobs that we don't know what they're going to be. And I think we've ramped that up considerably. I think the opportunities of what our kids are being able to do, I mean, the podcasts that we do, those are our students. The multimedia, the scoreboards that we have that have the ability to show live video and pre-videotaped material, our kids are doing things that, and they're seeing, you're talking about authentic learning, it's not a test. Particularly when there's 5,000 people at our football stadium and your student work is being displayed, that's the test.
That's showing how you can do it.
Exactly, exactly. And so our kids are excited about that opportunity. And that's part of the technology that we've got going. When we say that we're going to refresh those ones at the high school, but that also means that we've got 1,200 devices that we're going to be pushing down K-8.
So the other kids will get those
yes, that's the plan. And so, I don't think that teachers will ever be replaced, and I hope, not in my lifetime, will ever be replaced by technology. But I do believe that more than likely teachers that use technology will be replacing those that don't, as the future holds for us. I mean, I don't know if you can go to a college campus or really the world of work anymore without having the familiarity to be able to navigate with technology.
It's the way of the world today.
It's not an option.
Right, and working together. Well, you've had a lot of community support, with the passage of the bond issue, the programs that you have going on. I know you also have the Bright Futures program in Webb City, which is another aspect of community helping the schools.
It is, and it's really a piece of the puzzle that didn't know how it was going to play out and how it was going to be sustained over the period of time. But what we found out is that once it gets up and running and you have the quality people involved in it, it carries itself. The school district trying to do it on its own, we're not very efficient. I mean, we weren't. We were trying to figure out solutions to problems for our kids by ourselves. And we weren't tapping into the resource of the community, which will really just wrap their arms around kids in need.
Schools and kids, right.
And that's the really neat part, is that we're meeting kids' needs much more effectively, much quicker. And I think that people that are involved with it see that as a tangible. Whereas if you're just giving some donation or maybe given time, you don't necessarily see the impact. And I think that what we've got going here is definitely a positive thing for our community to be able to plug into in ways that we did not have before.
And are the teachers seeing this in the classroom, making a difference for the students who are being helped as well?
I believe so. I mean, I don't know how you can deny a student that didn't have glasses now has glasses, or a student that has a low self-esteem that you've done something that perhaps has improved that. So, I'm not sure that you can actually quantify everything. We know there's a lot of qualitative improvement. So, the feedback that we get from our volunteers and the interaction that we get from the people in the school district is nothing but positive. So, I mean, I don't know how you could look at what we do through Bright Futures and not see the value of how it's been a positive effect on the community, on the school, for our staff, and most importantly for kids.
For the kids in the schools and so forth. Well, you mentioned podcasts, and I know as superintendent that's one aspect that you keep in touch with the district. You have a Facebook page, a website, you've mentioned Twitter. Communication being an important part of your role as well.
We try to. I mean, you know, I don't know of any organization that somebody doesn't always have the criticism, well, we never communicate
I didn't
enough.
hear about that, yeah.
Yes, and so we're trying to put together some different avenues of communication. Obviously, social media is in the forefront. You know, my Twitter handle is at Rossetti Tony, and the kids definitely have a lot of banter going back on snow day. You know, you used to be able to call a snow day and you'd send out your phone message, or you'd have to watch it on TV or the radio.
Right.
Now, as I'm driving the roads at 4:30 a.m., I'll have a student who will say, "Come check my roads; they're not very good." So the instant access that students have to me is it's not. I mean, that's a good thing. But yes, the podcasts, even though I think they're kind of corny, I think are well received because so many people, we try to limit it to 2 or 3 minutes, but it gives a quick overview of a lot of things that are going on in the district, and people have that time. And I'm a visual learner, so if I have a quick video, I'll probably look at that. If it's a half a page or a page long email,
somebody gives you a handout, you're going to say, I'll read it later.
I'm probably not going to do much with that. And so we have we use constant contact to send out information regarding the school district, and you know, always looking for ways to improve. I think we're getting ready to do for the fall a kind of a customer service feedback that parents will be able to. You know, when you go to your doctor, you get an email the next day saying,
how was your visit? What's going right?
Exactly. And we want that feedback. We don't want that feedback just to be only when somebody's unhappy, but we want to know about when somebody's done a good job as well. So providing and asking, doing our job in customer service of at least asking how your experience has been so that we can use that data and improve ourselves is, I think, is going to be beneficial for us.
Well, Dr. Rossetti, I'd like to thank you very much for visiting with us, sharing some information with the audience today.
Well, thank you for having me, Judy.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. I'll see you again next week at the same time on this station.